Welcome to KBS World Radio. You're now tuned in to Korea24's Korea Book Club, where we explore the world of Korean literature. This is our weekend replay edition, playing back our book segment from Wednesday's show. We hope you enjoy it. I'm your host, Kwon Jang-woo. Joining me in the studio now is our literary critic, Barry Welsh. Barry, hello. It's great to see you.
Yes, hello.
Okay, so what do you have for us this week?
This week we're reviewing a short story called Love in Sapa, or 사파에서, and it's by Bang Hyeon-seok, translated by Sunnie Chae. And Bang debuted in 1988. He's published several novels and short story collections in his 3-decade-plus career, so he's been writing for a long time. And he was recognised in 1991 when he won the Shindong-yeop Prize for Literature, and had a banner year in 2003 when he won both the Oh Young-soo Literature Award and the Hwang Sun-won Literature Award. And regular listeners might remember we reviewed his novel Off to Battle at Dawn a year or two ago. And Sunnie Chae has also been on the show. We reviewed her collection of poetry that she translated called Nearly All Happiness. And she also has a short story in translation by Chang Yu-jin, which we haven't got to. Maybe we will sometime soon. But Love in Sapa was published as part of the Asia Publishers K-Fiction series. It's a tragic, poignant love story with a political dimension. And the Korean original was published in the quarterly journal Writer's World, the Chakasege, in the fall of 2013. And it was published there as part of a special feature on Bang Hyeon-seok. And Love in Sapa tells the story of a middle-aged Korean man called Seok-woo. He now lives in Vietnam, and as the story begins, he's reconnecting with an old friend who comes to visit him. And over the course of this meeting in Vietnam, Seok-woo reflects on their previous encounters and what this woman means to him now and has done throughout his life. And the story seems to be about the ability of love to persist through challenging circumstances. And I think anyone who's had lingering thoughts of someone special to them from their past will recognise the whirl of emotions that Seok-woo experiences in Love in Sapa.
I see. So a sort of a classic tragic love story then.
Yes.
But you said there is a political aspect as well. I understand that plays a big role. So then, Barry, how and where does this love story begin?
Right, so the story begins with a phone call. Seok-woo is living in Vietnam, so he's been sent there by the Korean organisation he works for. So he's manning their Vietnam office. Out of the blue one day, he receives a phone call from an old friend. He hasn't seen this woman in years. Her name is Chong-min, and she announces that she's here in Vietnam to see him and she needs collecting from the airport. And what is the purpose of this unexpected, unannounced visit after such a long gap? So he sets out for the airport to pick her up, and as he does so, he reflects on their previous meetings. So Seok-woo and Chong-min have crossed paths several times, perhaps 3 key meetings throughout their life, but they've never been officially romantically involved. There seems to have been some yearning on each side, but they've never been a couple, as it were. Circumstance seems like it's always, conspired to keep them apart. And furthermore, each time they've met has coincided with some kind of difficult or challenging experience caused by Chong-min for Seok-woo. And Seok-woo says, when it came to Chong-min and me, I was utterly helpless. She was my lot time and again. The first time we met 20 years ago, several years ago, and a little while ago. And so we see that Seok-woo is powerless to resist Chong-min despite the problems that she causes him.
Right, so it seems she's a bit of trouble then, it seems. Yeah. In what ways has Chong-min disrupted Seok-woo's life? And also, how does the political dimension we talked about earlier enter the story? Right,
so we see as the story goes on, this isn't just a story of, sort of ships that passed in the night and didn't manage to connect. There is this political dimension. So they first meet as children, and in this meeting it sort of sets a pattern for the rest of their lives. Seok-woo is, I think he's like 10, and he's sketching under a tree, a persimmon tree, when Chong-min approaches him, and he's immediately captivated by her her beauty and her spirit. And when she says the persimmons look delicious, he instantly, leaps to his feet and climbs the tree to get her one. And of course, the branch snaps and he falls to the ground. And at their next meeting, so this is a more sort of significant meeting as adults. They're both sort of university age students. And Chongmin is a member of a labour activist group participating in protests and the activism movement. And Seok-woo isn't really doing the same thing, but he provides a cover for her, an alibi, and he's arrested and tortured by the authorities for several days. And so this section of the story, it's brutal and it's unexpected and quite shocking. And, the authorities, they want to break up this movement and they punish Seok-woo severely despite his not really being involved. And of course, this is related to, historical events and things that were happening in Korea at the time. And this is a key section of the story, embedded within what at first looks like a story of unrequited love is this sort of violent and even criminal actions of corrupt government agents who are only too happy to brutalize their own citizens. And then we have this third meeting, so Seok-woo and Chongmin meeting in Vietnam as adults in their 40s, and then for reasons which we won't get into, that's also tinged with tragedy that's connected to these earlier meetings. And through these meetings where there's some kind of traumatic experience, some kind of tragedy, Bang appears to suggest that love is inevitable despite the circumstances, because Seok-woo cannot help but love Chongmin despite these events.
Wow, so that's quite a brutal turn then that the story takes, but it sounds perhaps all the more powerful for it, how Korea's dark modern history disrupted people's lives and more mundane things, such as finding love and all that. So it sounds like quite a powerful turn there. I'm also curious about the Vietnam setting that the book bookends with. I believe we have reviewed one other story that's set in Vietnam. That's Hwang Seo-young's The Shadow of Arms. But I guess we have looked at stories of Koreans living in other countries. So how does the Vietnam location contribute then to Bang's bittersweet love story?
Right, so the Vietnam setting is important for the story in a couple of ways. So part of the story is connected to a famous but sort of hidden festival, a festival that's kept away from the tourists called, a love festival, and it's in the Sapa region of Vietnam. And Seok-woo and Chongmin hear the story of the festival from a wandering musician, and Bang uses the story of this festival as a way of, commenting on Seok-woo and Chongmin's relationship and on the role of love in life in general. And at the same time, it's also just a very evocative setting and backdrop for their story, for this third meeting that they have.
Right, I guess it does provide a sort of exoticness to the story as well, as you said. Okay, so once again, it's called Love in Sapa by Bang Hyeon-seok, and it's translated by Sunnie Chae. That's all for our book club this week. Barry, thank you for your thoughts as always, and have a great week. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Like the sky.